Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. You guys, today's Friday, which means it is True Crime Mukbang Day. Today we're going to be discussing the story of Julia Tofana. Have you guys heard of her? I was so fascinated by this story. I was so intrigued and I'm very excited to tell it today. But first we are going to enjoy a couple of bites of our food. I have some spicy noodles here with some garlic shrimp and then a couple of sheets of roasted nori with the sea salt on it. I love that. And then I'm gonna have a seltzer water. Again, this is cranberry lime flavor. I had this in my last video as well. I have been craving noodles. I'm not somebody who grew up on ramen noodles. I started eating them in mukbangs just for the sake of everybody else was eating it and it looks so good. I'm like, let me try this. Yes, they are very good. I love some spicy noodles. And then for dessert, I was at TJ Maxx. Oh my gosh, the stores opened yesterday. I was so excited that TJ Maxx opened. But at the checkout, you know, they always have candy and snacks and things that I cannot resist. So I picked up this Ghirardelli chocolate. This is milk chocolate with caramel. This is one of my absolute favorites. These are so good. And then I picked up the dark chocolate in sea salt. These are just so delicious, my absolute favorite. If you love true crime, if you love food, give this video a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Let's get started. Okay, these look so good. I haven't tasted these yet, so this is gonna be my first time trying them. It came with some sort of like sesame oil and I don't know, some kind of seasoning pack. So here goes. Ooh, that is spicy. I forgot to tell you guys this is seafood flavor. So I thought it would go really nicely with some shrimp. Okay, so these aren't fire noodle hot. So that's good because those fire noodles I can't handle, but I really love just regular spicy noodles. I can't use chopsticks. I'm really just trying over here. Garlic butter and lemon shrimp. Whoa, these are so good. I love these little roasted noris with the sesame oil on them. They're really, really tasty. I'm gonna get some of my refreshing water. Did you guys notice I got my hair cut? It's been so long. If you follow me on Instagram, you already seen it, but yeah. You guys, I hope you are all having a wonderful day. Happy Friday. I'm gonna take one more bite and then we'll get started in our story. I'm so excited for today. Hit the spot. You guys didn't tell me I had sauce on my chin. I also want to say a quick disclaimer. You guys, the information that I am telling you in this true crime story is to the best of my knowledge. This is information that I am finding on the internet. If there are minor details here and there that are not accurate with something you may have read or an article that you saw or a clip that somebody else talked about, please take it with a grain of salt. Look it up for yourself. There is different information on certain details depending on where you're finding it on the internet. This is the gist of what happened, and again, the truth to the best of my ability. So let's begin. So Julia was born in 1620 in Palermo, Italy. She was said to be very beautiful and she spent a lot of time with apothecaries. And if you don't know, apothecaries are those who prepared and sold medicines and drugs back in those times. She watched them prepare all kinds of potions, and she asked a lot of questions. She was very curious about it, and as time went on, she learned how to concoct her own potion, her own poison that she named Aqua Tofana. Doesn't that sound so bourgeois? Anyway, so there's talk that Julia's mother is actually the true creator of Aqua Tofana. She actually murdered her husband with this poison, and it's said that she passed down that recipe to her daughter. That's debatable. We don't know for sure. Julia also had a daughter who was involved in this business. There's not really a lot of information about her, so we're not going to talk too much about her, but her daughter was in business with her. Now, let me take this bite, and things are going to get so interesting. So just a quick little background. Back in the 1600s, women didn't have a lot of opportunity, obviously. There were no women's rights. Women were more considered property than they were people. You could either get married and be a wholesome woman, like somebody's wife, or you could be a prostitute. And that was kind of like the two main options right there. So a lot of times families would trade their daughters for different items that the family needed. They would marry off their daughters for political or personal reasons, like arranged marriages. Oftentimes these women would end up in abusive marriages and loveless marriages, things of that nature. And their role was to run the household, educate the children, manage the servants, things like that. Your place was to be a nice little wife and keep your mouth shut unless spoken to. Just be a perfect little wife. Apparently, a lot of these women would end up getting abused. There was no consequences for these husbands who would abuse their wives. It was just, if they were mean and did that, then it was kind of frowned upon, like, oh, that's mean, but there were no consequences. Let me just get another shrimp. There we go. I did it again with the teeth. I heard it. I know. I'm sorry. Julia was very sympathetic towards these wives who were in these loveless marriages and in these abusive marriages, and she wanted to contribute somehow. She was passionate about it. So she would sell her poison to the women in the community, and she was looked at as the friend, like the hero, the woman who was helping all other women out. She had a lot of success, and so she then moved to Naples, Italy, and then on to Rome. And that is where things got real. Let's just say that. In Rome, Julia set up her cosmetic counter as her front. Side note, she really did sell women's cosmetics, but mostly she sold this Aqua Tofana. She included a label on it of a picture of St. Nicholas. She even included a label on the back of the bottle just to make everything look super legitimate. Oh, these are so good. Allegedly, Julia told these wives that the poison would kill their husbands very slowly, and they had to follow the instructions on how to do so. She instructed them to put just a couple of drops of this in their wine, water, or soup. And after the first dose, they would only have cold-like symptoms, right? After the second dose, they would be pretty ill. But after the third dose, they would get super sick. Diarrhea, vomiting, dehydration, a burning pain in their stomach. And after the fourth dose, they would die. Now, the kicker here is that it was a slow death, which gave the husbands time to create a will, which would benefit the wives. And it would also give them time to repent. These were very religious people, and they felt like once they repented, they could then go to heaven, right? So it was a win-win. The husband goes to heaven, the wife gets paid, For years, Julia only sold her potion by referral only. She didn't want the word out there that she was selling some sort of potion to kill husbands. She was very smart about it. And after she would receive a referral, then she would talk to that wife and ask a series of questions. And she just wanted to be extra safe because she knew if she were to get caught, her fate was death. Back then, torture and then death. This went on for years, 18 years to be exact. And I think like women like to gossip and women like to talk, but I think this was so successful and nobody said anything because she was a hero. She was saving lives of these oppressed, abused women, and they wanted to protect her. She was the friend and their only way out. But also, not only would Julia die, but anybody who partook in that poison and killed their husbands, they would die too. So if they said anything, they were killing themselves, really. She also allegedly coached these women on how to act once they gave their husbands the poison. She had to tell them to show a sense of anxiety. They had to be stressed. They had to show concern for their husbands why they were ill, right? We want to make this look real, right? And after the husband passed, she would then have the wives tell the authorities that they need to check the body, do whatever sort of autopsy, whatever they did back in the day, the 1600s, to overlook the body to make sure that there wasn't murder that has taken place. This way, that would rule out any suspicion or the wife playing any part in possibly murdering the husband. And because aqua tofana was such a slow killing poison, it just wasn't traceable. So it ended up being the perfect murder. Now the truth gets out eventually, right? We know that they have to get caught. You can't murder for years and years and years and just not get caught. Like it's gonna come out. I mean, it can happen, but you get caught a lot of the times. She had to get caught, and she did. And let me tell you why. Julia gave aqua tofana to a certain woman who was giving her first dose to her husband. And she was serving her husband a soup. This was to eat soup before dinner was very common back then. But she started to get cold feet. She couldn't go through with it. She changed her mind last minute. So the husband is taking a bite of the soup and she stops him. Stop, 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 don't eat the soup. The husband's just like, why can't I eat the soup? And she didn't want to tell him because he's probably gonna whoop her, right? So he ends up angrily and aggressively getting the information out of her. She confesses and says that she purchased this poison, that it was from Julia, that it's a thing going on around town. She told it all. Julia gets wind of this and she starts packing and she takes off. She goes to the nearest church and seeks sanctuary. She seeks sanctuary. But you know, people love to talk. Rumor gets out that this woman is offering this poison to wives to get rid of their husbands, and it's kind of like that telephone effect. They start saying that she poisoned the water supply in all of Rome. So people are panicking, thinking it's going to kill our whole family. They want her found, caught, and dead. Police go to the church and break down the doors. They grab Julia, dragging her out, and start questioning her. And by questioning her, I mean torturing her. Now, we're not going to talk about it today, but if you want to know what torture looked like in the 1600s for women who committed such a crime as murder, you can look it up. I wanted to find a picture of Julia so bad, but there wasn't anything on the internet. None of the images that show are accurate portraits of her. So I'm just going to show you kind of an idea of what 1600 portraits looked like. Under torture, Julia confessed to killing over 600 men over the past 18 years from 1633 to 1651. But truly, that number couldn't be confirmed due to admission being under torture and also the widespread distribution of the poison. I mean, she started off in her hometown and then went to Naples and then Rome. Who really knows how many people purchased it and killed their husbands? Needless to say, Julia, her daughter, and 3 other helpers in the business were executed. Many of the ladies who purchased Aqua Tofana were either executed or imprisoned. They were thrown in a dungeon. One disgusting detail is after the death of Julia, the authorities threw her body over the wall of the church that was providing her sanctuary. Ew. They were violent people back then. That was another time. I wanted to tell you guys what's in this Aqua Tofana, which literally means Tofana water. It had 3 main ingredients in it. The first being arsenic, which is a chemical element with metals and non-metals. It's a metalloid. It occurs in many minerals in combination with sulfur, and it also has a metallic appearance. A lot of items that have arsenic in them are wallpaper, paint, tanning products, pesticides used in tobacco products like cigarettes and so on. The second main ingredient is lead, and lead is a heavier and denser metal, but it's soft. It's silvery and has a hint of blue in it when it's melted, but once it hits oxygen, then it has that dull metal color, gray color. Common items that contain lead are paint, soil, toys, contaminated water, Aaron Brockovich, that was a great movie. Even crystal in China, things like that. And the third main ingredient was belladonna. And this one is the most interesting to me because belladonna is a plant. It's an herbaceous plant. So it's native to Europe, North Africa, West Asia. And a lot of women back then would use belladonna eye drops, and they would put it in their eye and it would dilate them. This was considered beautiful to them for some reason. Belladonna is toxic, it's poisonous, and back then it was used a lot for medications, different cosmetics, and literal poison. It contains chemicals that block body functions such as sweating, urinating, salivating, dilating the pupils. Venetian ladies of the court loved that look. So Julia really felt like because it had belladonna in it, she could pass it easily as a cosmetic item, this Aqua Tofana. It wasn't a poison, it was a cosmetic, beauty-related potion. Last bite, my friends. I'm just kidding, that's too much. Hold on. I really like this brand too because it came with a nice like sesame oil that was pretty spicy, and like the level of heat is just perfection. I'll show you guys what brand I got. Let me get cleaned up and we will be right back for final thoughts. Here's the brand that I was eating today, the spicy seafood flavor. I got 4 that comes in this bag and it was about $10. And I just get this at my local grocery store. I shop at Dillon's, so very, very good. What do you guys think of today's true crime? I really loved this one. I thought it was kind of a noble thing that Julia was trying to help these women in a time where women didn't have any rights and there was no out and you were just property, and she was trying to help them. Granted, murder is definitely not the correct way. I feel like her intention was okay, but the way she went about it, not so good. Didn't work out for her very well. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I did. I had so much fun hanging out with you. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Every Friday we have a true crime video. Join us. We have a good time here. Hold on. We can't go anywhere without having dessert. Let's go with this one. I'm pretty full, so I was gonna have one of each of these, but I'm only gonna have one. Let's break it open. It has just the right amount of sea salt, in my opinion. I love caramel so much. Wow. Wow. These big bags are $7.49. How many do you get? There's a lot that comes in here. They're so good. These are really good for a certain time that you crave chocolate. You know what I mean? They really hit the spot. Oh my gosh. Have a good day, guys. I'll see you in the next one.